Welcome everybody, I'm pure French Latin fan, and in this new video I'm going to speak to you about the animated movies that are underrated and overrated for me. As you know, if you follow me since my beginnings on YouTube, well, you already know that I love the animated movies, but despite this, there are still some of them that I think, like a lot of people, they don't have the appreciation they deserve, and others that are too much appreciated. I'm not saying that they're necessarily bad movies, but they're not as good as people say either for me. I just like to make things clear. I'm just giving my opinions, I'm not imposing them to anyone, and I perfectly know that I don't have the infused science. Even if we're not gonna deny it either, sometimes people may like or dislike a piece by lack of perspective. But anyway, I'm once again just telling you my opinions, I'm not imposing them to you, and before we begin, as always, don't forget to like and share my video if you liked it, to subscribe to never miss my next videos, and to comment down below. So, let's start with the underrated animated movies for me. A Bug's Life. Yes, we start this list with the second Pixar movie after the first Toy Story, and yes, it's one of those good animated movies we forget easily. And yes again, it's one of my favorite Pixar movies. What I mean is that this animated movie represents very well the Bug's world in general, and yes, in a real much better way than Ants. Yes, this one's overrated because we only represent the ants in particular, and I'm sorry, but it's a completely free preferential treatment. Because the other bugs also deserve to be represented. Maybe not as much as the ants, but they still deserve it. And that's exactly the good choice A Bug's Life makes. And yes, that also means it doesn't make the same mistake as its inferior DreamWorks counterpart. It's also superior than Ants because it's better made. Yes, I think A Bug's Life is just as well made as the Toy Story franchise. And like I think it's very and unfairly underrated with this, I even think it deserves a sequel. And yes, since 2019, I've imagined a sequel for it, which I'll tell you about, and also where I'll reveal you how I've imagined it in my future video about the potential animated movies I've imagined. And now let's pass to Robots. So, this one has exactly the same problems than A Bug's Life. And by that I mean that just like the latter, it's the second movie of its studio released 3 years after the first one, but then it became one of those good animated movies we forget easily. And yes, just like A Bug's Life, Robots represents very well its theme. We can also say that it's Monsters Inc., Zootopia and Elemental with robots. Titan A.E. I just love this one. It's epic, amazing, powerful, and spectacular, with a lot of action and also with a very mature tone. So, what I wonder is, why the hell is it so unknown? Why the hell doesn't it have the big and great success it deserves? Just like of the following examples. Dinosaur. Okay, this one is mad, but it still doesn't deserve to be that forgotten. What makes me think that? It's because it actually had a good story, it represents very well the world of the dinosaurs, and also because it's very beautiful. It's just that it certainly would have been better and more remarkable if it was in traditional 2D animation like the other 90s and also a little like 2000s Disney animated movies, or maybe even in 3D animation like the Pixar movies and Disney classics since 2010s. See what I mean? And yes, that's very frustrating because the dinosaurs themed by Disney had a lot of potential. It's a little the same kind of problem than Power Rangers Samurai and Super Samurai. In fact, I think it's also the same problem than with the Disney remakes. People prefer when it's in animation and not in live action. The best comparison example is the Lion King remake. Yes, look, majority of people says it looks like an animal documentary and also say the same for Dinosaur. So that's it. Once again, if it was an animated movie like in Disney's golden age of 90s and a little 2000s period, or like Disney 2010s period, or like the Pixar movies, like I just told you, it certainly would have worked so much more. Treasure Planet, another sci-fi animated movie masterpiece just like Titan A.E. And if it's forgotten / underrated, it's because it has a very mature tone and Disney isn't just used to make that kind of movie. And yet, it's excellent. It's a very good rebel with Stevenson's Treasure Island adaptation. It's also a very good representation of science fiction and of the pirates world. Even more and better than Pirates of the Caribbean saga. Yes, I don't really like Pirates of the Caribbean. I don't hate it. I just think it's not very good. Anyway, just like somebody said once, Treasure Planet is Atlantis the Lost Empire, but in 10 times better. Balto. I also love this one. It's very touching, beautiful, and with a great storyline. And the most beautiful in it, it's also that it's based on a true story. So, just like I said for Titan A.E., why the hell doesn't this beautiful and touching gem have the big and great success it deserves? A little like some I've mentioned and others I'm going to mention, it's exactly at the same level than the hit animated movies. What I mean by that is that it has exactly the same ingredients than this latter, and so should have had the same success than them to the public. Wreck-It Ralph. As you probably already know, I love the video games. And with this, it's just totally obvious that I would love this one, like it totally represents very well this theme. Even if I discovered it before opening myself to the video games. So, I'm just asking you, Nintendo, Sega, etc. fans like me, why don't you just love or at least like this animated movie? Even though it represents very well this world, yes, the video games world of course, we just love Rise of the Guardians. I also love this one. It's epic, very beautiful, and with a very good story. It also gives us a mature version and also a representation of traditional events, and that's a great idea. So, just like I said for Balto, it's exactly at the same level than the hit animated movies, so why just the hell doesn't this masterpiece have the same success than them to the public? Yes, this remake should have had the same success than Kung Fu Panda and / or How to Train Your Dragon. Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. We're finishing the underrated list with one that I don't love, but that I like. Yes, I grew up with this movie during my childhood, and today, as an adult, I think it's not a masterpiece, but just a good movie. And that's enough to say that it doesn't deserve to be so unknown, but that it at least deserves to be as well known and appreciated than The Road to El Dorado. That I also like, by the way. And now let's pass to the overrated animated movies for me. Cars franchise. Yes, you heard me well, and I'm really serious. I just don't understand how people can like this Pixar franchise that much when it makes exactly the same mistake than Ants. Yes, you heard me well. And what I mean by that, it's just like I said for Ants with the bugs. In Cars, why do we just represent the cars in particular and not the other vehicles? And yes, just like I said for A Bug's Life and Ants with the ants and the other bugs, I can understand that we represent more the cars than the other vehicles, but this latter also deserves to be represented. And before anyone tells me, yes, I saw there was all the vehicles as well, especially in Cars 2, but first, they weren't all there, like the motorcycles. And secondly, I'm not so sure they've really been completely and perfectly represented. For example, I would have loved to see the motorcycles represented in this franchise, like the Harley Davidsons for example, that would have been awesome. Or even the best representation of the airliner, cruise and train with a lot of vehicles on board, including Lightning McQueen. And yes, thank you, I already know about the Planes movies, but first, I never understood why it wasn't from Pixar even though it has the same style and graphisms than Cars. And secondly, well, it has exactly the same problems than this latter. Yes, because what I mean is we're not gonna make a movie about the cars, another one about the planes, another one again about the boats, one about the helicopters, etc. It would just be a big waste of time. We might as well put everything into just one movie. Just like A Bug's Life did with the bugs. And yes, I'm not ashamed to admit it, A Bug's Life is better than Cars franchise for me. And to be honest, all these problems I have with Cars franchise, I also have exactly the same problems with Power Rangers Turbo. You'll understand what I mean in my video about the potential ideas I had for the Power Rangers, which is by the way my next video. And plus, look, the majority of Disney fans, including me, have complained about the fact that there were only mammals in Zootopia. And still, they weren't all there either. And yes, I know we're gonna correct this defect in the sequel. So, why does everyone complain about this problem in Zootopia and not in Cars while it does exactly the same mistake? But don't worry, I love Zootopia because even if there's only mammals, at least there's not just one type of mammals and so of animals. Conclusion, Cars should have been more like I said, and also should have been called vehicles instead. It would have been so much better like this. Frozen. Well, this one, to be very honest with you, I just hate it. And deeply. Not only because it's a giant bullshit, but also because I acted like the king of the stupid kids in my past partly because of it. And yes, it traumatized me. What am I talking about? Well, let's just say it was in 2015, and if you saw my third video, you know what does this year represent for me. And right now, I'm giving you one example of something stupid and also one of the horrors I lived during this year. Let's just say that like I was a dumb and stupid child at that time, I liked this bullshit movie. And because of that, I just acted in a so ridiculous way in front of some of my Angel Middle School comrades. In other words, I suffered the shame of my life because of the bad influence this movie had on me. First, there's something you have to know. I don't like the animated movies with a girl as a main character, because they're the most childish for me. Actually, it's normal because they're for little girls, and I'm obviously not part of the target audience. Yes, I'm saying that for everything that's Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, Pocahontas, Mulan, Tangled, Princess and the Frog, Moana, and so logically, Frozen 2. And by the way, I don't like Lilo and Stitch either because it's also too childish for me. But, despite all that, I still think something about Moana compared to Frozen. Something that a spectator said in the movie's premiere in the Grand Rex in Paris when the movie was released in my country.
Ah, c'était génial, c'est mieux que la Reine des Neiges.
It's just totally impossible to contradict this. Yes, what makes me think the same thing that this better is that Moana is maybe too childish for me, like I just explained, but it still has a better universe, theme, realization, music, epic and mature tone, and it's also still more dynamic than Frozen. But I have another problem with it. It's also that it's too overrated, and its bullshit song I'm sick of too. Yes, this garbage doesn't deserve its good reputation, and I just would love to make it disappear. And with what I told you about the animated movies for little girls, etc., I can definitely give you one example of a really mature, male, tough and serious animated movie, Tarzan. Yes, I really do love this one so much, and yes, it's in my top 3 favorite animated movies. That's why it hurts me so much that we compare such a jewel and also get adored so much with this big bullshit of Frozen, with this totally stupid theory everyone talks about since years. I'm even going further. Dragon Ball Evolution is still better than Frozen. Yes, I'm sorry, but people are just overdramatic about this movie. So, stay calm, I also hate this movie. Already I'm not a manga and anime fan, so... But I don't hate it like majority of people either. Because, unlike majority of people say, it's still far from being the worst movie ever. And excuse me, but when I see all these people destroying that movie so much, just because it doesn't respect the original manga, and so partly saying it's the worst movie ever just because of that, sorry, but I just have the impression to be surrounded by a lot of children. Yes, I'm sorry, but dramatizing about something that much, just for such reasons like it doesn't respect the original support, that's totally immature. Especially because there's other movies very worst. So, please, all of you, stop with Dragon Ball Evolution. Seriously. And yes, I stand by what I said, Frozen's worse than it. And yes, we can say that all I think about Frozen, it's exactly the same that Disney Film thinks about Despicable Me 2. The Lion King. Yes, I'm sorry if I shock you, but yes, even this one's overrated for me. Don't worry, I'm not saying it's a bad movie at all. On the contrary, it's just still overrated for me, and for 2 reasons. The first, and even the main reason, it's because I think the lions are too much overrated. Yes, they were very bad their title of King of the Animals, like I said in my short about my animals figures collection. By the way, I'm taking this opportunity to show you my 4 favorite animals, even though I already told you which ones they were in my short too. So yes, that means that for me, a such epic and grandiose tone doesn't have anything to do with the lion. To be honest with you, I also have the same problem with the Mayor Lionheart in Zootopia, and also Aslan in the Chronicles of Narnia. So, don't worry, I love the Chronicles of Narnia. It's just that with everything I just told you about the lions, well, logically that means Aslan has exactly the same problems than Mufasa. And my second problem with the movie is the villain, who's obviously Scar. Yes, I'm sorry, but the villain of this movie is a failure. Because maybe lions are not as majestic as everyone says, like I just said, but they're not evil either. Yes, sorry to tell you that, but a lion with such an evil aspect and personality just doesn't exist. The only animals in sub-Saharan Africa that fit this description are the hyenas, obviously, and also the vultures. And everyone knows well that hyenas are the most iconic sub-Saharan Africa animals that represent evil. So, yes, I'm sorry, but that means Shenzi should have been the main villain in the movie. And plus, just think about it. If people think lions are that majestic, then why do they just accept that we create a lion who's all the opposite? I'm sorry, but that should displease you too, that we give an evil representation of this animal. Encanto. Yes, you heard me well, and I prefer to be honest with you. I don't like Encanto. But I don't hate it either. It's just not a good movie for me. And that's also for 2 reasons. First, it's because there's a real big lack of adventure, action and suspense. And secondly, because the end arrives too fast and too obviously. Yes, come on, admit it. There's not even a climax. Afterwards, if there's one positive point that I must admit, is the We Don't Talk About Bruno song. Yes, don't worry, I love this song too, like majority of people. But that's not only because I think it's very good that I say it's a positive point, it's also because I'm very glad and proud that it had thrown Let It Go. Yes, like I just told you, I hate this song so much, exactly like its movie. I was more than enough to see its excessive success and hype, and with all that, it's just totally obvious that I'm proud and glad that it's been thrown by a real good song and like it. But despite this, it clearly just doesn't make Encanto a better movie. Sorry. It's Coco, but not as good. Because yes, for me, Coco's a masterpiece and Encanto is a less good version of it. But anyway, I'm not disappointed either because I didn't have any expectation about this movie. I even would say that I still have expectations for The Kingdom of the Sun. Yes, with my South American part, I can tell you that I'm very disappointed and frustrated that Disney didn't create this potential masterpiece about my people that would have been at the same level than Aladdin and the Lion King. Yes, with this potential so epic, wonderful, grandiose, and beautiful movie that would have paid so much homage to my people, you just can't imagine how touched and moved I would have been if it had been created. But unfortunately, we instead had The Emperor's New Groove, and yes, this not serious comedy movie is just a parody that makes fun of my people. Yes, because Kingdom of the Sun would have been serious while The Emperor's New Groove is all the opposite, and so gives a not serious image of my people. That's why I just don't see how some people can like it. Comme vous par exemple, Mademoiselle Carmen Maravilla.
Cusco, l'empereur mégalo, j'aime bien.
Pour quelle raison?
Parce que si on parle de Cusco, parce qu'on n'en a pas parlé, Cusco j'aime bien parce que ça se passe au Pérou, donc c'est quand même plutôt rare chez Disney de déplacer les histoires dans des pays dont on n'a pas l'habitude.
Vraiment? Ça vous plaît vraiment qu'on se foute de la gueule de mon peuple comme ça? Eh ben, merci, c'est charmant. Anyway, Kingdom of the Sun would have been so much better not only than The Emperor's New Groove, but also than Encanto. And believe me, in my future video about the potential animated movies I've imagined, I'll tell you the ideas I had about the Kingdom of the Sun. That's to say, some things we could have seen in it. Alright, so that was all the underrated and overrated animated movies for me. I don't know if you'll agree with me or not. It will obviously depend on which animated movie. Don't hesitate to tell me what you think in comments, and as always, I hope you pass a good moment in front of my video. Well, take good care of yourself, have a good day or evening, and see you next time.